The Amazon data warehouse in Henderson, Nevada, is still syncing your Ring device data right now, and the FTC can't stop it. That facility processes a persistent telemetry handshake from over 80 million active devices inside American homes. The Federal Trade Commission reviewed the internal audit trail. It already knew, and it's still running. What you're about to see is the classified system Amazon never publicly disclosed, and the legal mechanism keeping it untouchable. Amazon built the Henderson facility as part of its Oz regional edge network. That's the official story. Edge nodes reduce latency. They cache streaming data closer to users so your Prime Video doesn't buffer, your Alexa responds faster, your Ring footage uploads without delay. Nevada was a logical choice. Low property taxes, cheap land, stable power, and proximity to West Coast population centers. Amazon disclosed the facility in routine SEC filings. It described it accurately. What it didn't describe was the second layer running underneath it. Officially, Henderson is infrastructure. That classification is deliberate, and that distinction is everything, because the FTC's Consumer Privacy Authority stops exactly where infrastructure begins. What Amazon never disclosed is what its internal engineering teams called Project Nile. Your Ring doorbell doesn't only transmit when you trigger a clip or check the live feed. It sends a persistent identifier signal every 14 minutes, a keep-alive ping that carries a device fingerprint, your home's precise GPS coordinates, and an active timestamp. That ping doesn't route through the standard AWS consumer data pipeline. It routes directly to Henderson's secondary ingestion layer. It logs continuously. It stores indefinitely. The FTC uncovered a reference to this system buried inside an internal audit trail Amazon produced under subpoena in 2021. Project Nile wasn't in the consumer-facing architecture diagram. It wasn't in the public privacy policy. It was in a single document, filed under seal, reviewed by agency technical staff, and then quietly set aside. That's when the investigation should have ended Amazon's access to your front door. It didn't. The FTC formally opened its Ring investigation in 2020. By 2022, investigators had flagged the persistent identifier logging as a potential Section 5 violation, unfair or deceptive practices toward consumers. They requested the complete Henderson facility architecture. Amazon produced a schematic. It showed the primary Oz routing layer. Project Nile was absent. The agency pushed back. Amazon responded with a 400-page supplemental filing that reclassified the telemetry as routine device health monitoring, a category the FTC's Consumer Privacy Authority doesn't reach. The investigation closed in 2023. The settlement totaled $5.8 million and focused entirely on employee misconduct inside Ring's offices. Henderson wasn't mentioned once in the consent decree. Not once. And here's the part nobody reported. The agency's own technical staff had flagged Project Nile 18 months before that settlement. An internal FTC memo, later referenced in a closed Senate Commerce Committee briefing, confirmed investigators identified the secondary ingestion layer in 2021. The memo recommended further investigation. Senior staff declined. The reason on record: insufficient statutory authority over infrastructure classification. That phrase is not bureaucratic confusion. It is a legal wall Amazon's attorneys built before the first Ring doorbell shipped. The FTC can regulate what Amazon does with your consumer data. It cannot regulate how Amazon's infrastructure classifies incoming signals before they're formally designated as consumer data. Project Nile doesn't store footage. It stores signals, device fingerprints, geolocation handshakes, active timestamps. Under current FTC statutory authority, those are operational telemetry, not consumer records. The loophole isn't a gap in the law. It's a designed corridor, and Amazon's legal team knew exactly where its edges were. Right now, your Ring device has sent that 14-minute ping at least once since you started watching this. That signal is in Henderson. It contains your home's GPS coordinates, a device fingerprint tied to your Amazon account, and a timestamp mapping exactly when your camera went active. Amazon knows when you're home. It knows when you leave. It knows when your camera goes offline and when it comes back on. None of that data appears in your Ring activity log. None of it triggers a privacy notification. None of it requires a warrant. And the same architecture runs in parallel facilities in Virginia and Ohio, serving the full national Ring and Alexa device network. Amazon's own infrastructure cost disclosures suggest over 14 petabytes of device signal data ingested annually. None of it classified as consumer data, all of it beyond the FTC's reach, and it's still running. Amazon built a system that watches your front door, maps your daily patterns, and stores the evidence in a facility regulators reviewed and walked away from. The FTC saw the audit trail. The Senate saw the memo. The settlement was written to close the investigation without naming the mechanism. The consent decree was designed to look like accountability. It was designed to end inquiry. So here's the question the FTC has never answered on the record. If agency technical staff identified Project Nile in 2021, and senior staff declined to pursue it, citing a specific four-word statutory phrase, who determined that phrase was the right line to draw? Amazon's attorneys knew exactly which classification would end the investigation. Someone understood the statutory boundary well enough to architect a system that never crossed it. The FTC can't shut it down because it was never built to be shut down. The only question remaining is who else inside that Henderson building has access to the feed you don't know exists, and what they're doing with 14 minutes of your life, repeated forever.